This is the tale of my very first romantic relationship. It's a tale about giving consent and appreciating your true feelings. Even though it was short-lived, you'll learn why it ended suddenly. I hope this will serve as a warning to others who might be hesitant to enter into a first-time relationship or any other kind of relationship that you can and should speak up if you're uncomfortable at any point. Never be afraid to express how you feel. I won't go into too much detail. So, buddy, if you came here expecting to read a juicy, personal, and passionate narrative, you must be in the right spot. However, even though I have a first-class BA in animation, I am not qualified to offer guidance. This is only a reflection of my age, 26. Considering how I perceived the world when I was 13 or 14 years old, caution and common sense are encouraged. Anyway, let's continue the story. Therefore, between the ages of 12 and 14, I underwent a significant, and not always positive, shift in appearance. I then decided to conduct a small experiment to determine what it would take to become a popular girl. I ultimately bleach-blonded my hair and waxed my eyebrows. Really, would you believe that in 2007, people didn't think big eyebrows were excellent? You could argue that I began wearing cosmetics that were frowned upon. I started dieting, which ultimately led to the development of a chronic eating disorder that ruled the majority of my life until I was 22. I would not advise doing this. The worst part of all was that this behavior was encouraged by the fact that I began to attract attention from other children. Boys began to show interest in me. To the dismay of all humanity, my little ill science project proved effective. Now let's all give each other a facepalm. Wednesday after-school groups were required in my first comprehensive or high school. Yes, you are correct. I hated having to go, but that might have been a different story if I had real pals to joke about and laugh with. However, as you may understand, being the last person chosen frequently makes sports clubs less desirable. Not because I could have been a better athlete. Where are you at, family? I'm in my third year, year 9 for the British. A brand new woodworking club was launched. This was either my jam or my sap. Shall I say something? More importantly, this is where I officially met my first lover and had my first romantic experience, which I would discover a valuable life lesson from in a few months. Tall and slender, Cody exuded a subtle nerdiness without sacrificing his confidence. Above all, he had adorable hair. I've always had a thing for unique hairstyles. Even though he was in my year, I had never seen him. This was common, given how our year groups were divided, but as soon as we started conversing, we clicked. Building birdhouses for the school grounds was our assignment for the woodworking club. Naturally, me being me, I went above and beyond by designing some detailed blueprints for this bird home. Cody was working with me because he loved my idea. Of course, we had to modify our initial plan, but we laughed and made jokes throughout the process, and I forgot about all my problems. I felt like I had made a true friend and wanted to spend more time with him. I was eager to see him. We made plans to get together during our lunch breaks. Our texting frequency increased. Whenever we were together, or I received a message from him, I would get butterflies in my stomach and wonder, oh my goodness, is this what it feels like to like someone? Is flirting defined like this? One of Cody's friends unexpectedly approached me one day and said, Cody wants to see her. He's waiting for you downstairs. I'm attempting to make an inside scream. How do you do shouting internally? No. I then march over to the poorly lighted entryway that separates the school's south side from its backyard, where he was waiting for me. Amy, I've always loved you. I felt at the moment, but it all sounded so gloomy and romantic. I can't get enough of that. That was not the case. It isn't how the movies are. Real life could be more organized. It felt so dramatic at the time, but it was more like, so, do you want to, go out? Don't expect that. Are you asking me to be your girlfriend? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Teens are awkward by nature. I was a shy teen most of the time, but I must have become engrossed in the moment, or I was envisioning movie scenes since I raced to kiss him. I still clearly recall saying, you have a cookie-like flavor. Then, I became utterly scarlet as I realized I accidentally spoke that aloud. Thank heavens. The bell rang immediately, enabling me to quickly run away and cover my beet-colored face. He yelled after me, grinning. I'll text you later. You taste like cookies. Oh, I see now why I said that. I was still thrilled about this new area during the first few weeks of our relationship. So I proceeded slowly, thinking about what to do if he tried to talk me into doing anything. I didn't want to push him away at this point. He might never come back to me. Hormones can indeed cause strange side effects. Try not to let it override your better judgment. Cody's family was affluent, even though I knew then that I didn't grasp what was happening, because he purchased me a white gold bracelet and necklace for my birthday and Christmas. I recall being embarrassed that I couldn't afford to return these elegant gifts, which seemed like very grown-up gestures. When I was 13, Pokemon Diamond was the primary item I anticipated for Christmas. His parents treated us to an out-of-town movie as a holiday treat. They dropped us off, then came back to get us. I don't recall the name of the movie we watched afterwards. I only remember that he constantly tried to make out with me. Pulling me in closer, I realized that, despite being seated in the rear, I was actually more interested in watching the movie than staring into his tonsils on the drive home. This made me feel a little ashamed. Outside, it was pitch black, sharing earbuds from his iPod Nano while seated in the rear of his parents' 4X4. You undoubtedly think this sounds cute, and from the outside, it did appear cute too, with jackets covering us like a blanket. But from the outside, you couldn't see his hands getting more and more lost beneath the coats. His parents were seated in the front seats, and I was frozen. I thought the tension and the fixed focus outside on the passing streetlights would speak louder than words to him, so I couldn't create a fuss because they'd notice. Stiff with shock, but not in my small teen head, I should have spoken up even then. I assumed that this was my fault. I was afraid to confront him or tell him to stop making the sun look terrible because I had just turned 14 and wasn't prepared for this kind of conduct. I was eager to get out of the vehicle. I quickly thanked his parents before rushing to my door. This rush of strength hit me, and I knew I had to talk to him about it and say something. At that moment, I finally recognized that this was not what I wanted. I don't care what other people think people should be doing at my age, but this is not what I want. When I saw him again, he would come to see me at my parents' place, so I figured I was at least close to my mother in case there were any serious issues. I informed him. We played some video games and then watched a movie in my room after I tried to talk to him about something significant. A solitary kiss evolved into, he asked if I would rather be more daring and do new things with him, but I told him no and begged him to stop because I wasn't comfortable with him kissing me more than once. I didn't need to be anxious, and the police said, "No, Amy. You know, you don't want this. Maybe one day, but not right now. You're not into this. Please listen to yourself," which made me anxious. However, I informed him that I genuinely wasn't prepared for this and asked if we could go back to going slowly. After the movie ended, we went home, and he left. After that evening, his texts got fewer and farther between over the remainder of the holiday. I was worried because I cared about him a lot, but I also knew deep down that it wasn't right for me to act in a way that made me uncomfortable. I saw him again after the new year when he stopped responding to my messages. Suddenly, as I was heading to the canteen, he approached me with his buddies. He realized he couldn't put off this long because I was shaking, but I stopped him and inquired what was wrong. He assumed I would have gotten the clue. He was speaking not to me. I should have known then that we were no longer dating. Well, at least we could still be friends, I thought. Indeed, the following day, I spotted him with another girl. They were making out passionately while she was perched on his lap. Though it didn't take a genius to figure out why he broke up with me, I missed having him around for conversation. Honestly, though, I was happy that I hadn't felt pressured into doing something. Regretfully, my friend was still adamantly opposed to me, even though I genuinely didn't want to do it. I'd always detested this school, the Welsh nationalist mindset, the children, and the lack of assistance, so I had nothing left. After telling my father I wanted to change schools, I moved out of that location in the next 2 weeks. I am so very proud of myself. Even though I transferred schools voluntarily, it still scared me as a young teen. A mixture of peer pressure that is pervasive. Insecurity and lack of support was a surefire way to end up in trouble when you're forced into something you're not ready for or even desire. Despite everything, I stood up, listened to my feelings, and said no. As a result, I don't have any terrible regrets. At different ages, different people have varied expectations of relationships. Always be mindful of your emotions and show respect for them. This goes beyond romantic situations. For some, it's much younger. For others, it's much older. And for others, it doesn't matter. Toxic buddies are attempting to get you to take action. Would you prefer not to? Nope. Are your loved ones treating you like raisins when you know deep inside that they are devil spawns? Bye. Alright, maybe that last one. Family pressuring you to have children when you know you don't want any? No, thank you. You will err. I'm sure you can recall more than a few occasions when you caved into peer pressure or acted contrary to your actual feelings or morality. Growing up entails learning to stand up for yourself, but you should know you can. Learn more about it to be ready for it if and when it occurs. Talking to your parents or other close family members is really not as awkward as you would believe. I may have dealt with several different problems during my adolescence. However, speaking up about how I felt in that circumstance while I was still self-conscious, self-reliance is a brilliant gem of goodness. Given my experience making decisions at a young age, I'm genuinely rather proud of.